This journey began on the Irrawaddy River in Myanmar. I watched a fellow traveler, a photojournalist, as he recorded the world around us. I was amazed by the stories he could tell through his images. I realized then that anyone can take a photo, but only a few can tell a story. And those few, the storytellers, the photojournalists who have dedicated their lives to enriching our world, they're in great trouble. The traditional news media business model is in complete shambles. News agencies have eliminated almost half of their photojournalism staff and are continuing to do so. Hi, I'm Zane. I'm a serial entrepreneur with degrees from Stanford and Harvard Business School. I may be an outsider, but I don't believe we can afford to lose these visual journalists and the story they share. I see this as a challenge and an opportunity. This is why we created ViewFind. First, to be a home for visual storytelling, especially for people like you and I, busy, constantly on the go, and constantly on our devices. In a few short minutes, you can literally see what's happening around the world. And second, to be the platform for photojournalists, a place where they can come and share their stories, be recognized for their vision and get paid, enabling them to pursue their passion and help enrich our world. I knew I couldn't do this alone, so I enlisted our creative director, Justin Mears. Justin's military training and personal drive allows him to tackle any challenge put before him.
I spent 7 years of my life in the field of imagery intelligence, serving in the Air Force and working as a contractor in Afghanistan for the US Army. Of the countless hours, poring over hundreds, if not thousands of satellite images, radar images, drone footage, the single most important thing I can say I learned was that perspective is everything. And that's what journalism is really about, especially photojournalism, putting context, putting perspective back to the stories. We're raising $25,000 to send 5 photojournalists on assignment around the world. Now, what makes our campaign unique is we're not choosing these assignments. We're not dictating to you what we think you want to see. We're asking you for your input. So along with your pledge, tell us what you want to see covered. Tell us what topic, what movement are you passionate about that people need to see in order to gain a better understanding of. And we'll get it covered.
We're also very fortunate to have Thea Bright join us. Thea was the photo editor for the Boston Globe magazine and led a team of video journalists who contributed to the Boston Globe's Pulitzer Prize for their Boston Marathon bombing coverage. With 30 years of experience in photojournalism, she just has an absolute amazing eye for the story behind the imagery.
There was really one moment. I had a scholarship to take a class at the main photo workshops, and I took it with Gilles Perez, and I didn't even know who he was at the time. When I looked at his photographs, I didn't understand why they were so great. They weren't what I, at that point in my sort of immature photography life, understood to be great. They seemed messy. He didn't use the rule of thirds. There was a lot of cutting the frame in half. As I took the class, I really understood how complexity can really serve you and how layering really tells the story. There is no question that that is the moment that my whole vision about photography changed. It's amazing, those of us who came into the business about when I did, the changes we've seen. Technological changes, going from black and white to color. But the changes in the last several years, are depressing. It's not easy to see colleagues of yours who've been laid off. A photographer friend of mine said, she's still working at a newspaper, she said, we're all living on borrowed time. And that's a hard thing to have over your head when you're working.
Photojournalism, when I was young, felt to me like a way to change the world. It's not that I don't believe that anymore. It's more that I believe that what you can do as a photographer, as a photojournalist, you can't control how people react to what you show them. But what you can do is put it out there to be seen. People shoot news photos, and that's important. But really, a lot of stories have to be more in depth than just the current event, the spot news event. People tend to fear what they don't know, what's foreign to them, what they don't understand. And one of the things that photojournalism does really, really well is to make us see what it's like to be someone else, to see what their life is like. It makes that connection between us and the unknown, and that can only be good. I used to be a newspaper photographer. I was laid off in 2009. Making a living as a freelance photographer is really tough. One of the things I love about ViewFind is that it empowers photographers. Changing the world is maybe a little naive, but you are a voice.
The craft of visual storytelling, the kind of in-depth reporting that comes from practically living with your subjects, that prism is slowly disappearing from all of our daily lives. Photojournalists help us make connections, the kind of connections that promote mutual understanding, whether it's right outside our door or across the ocean. ViewFind is your photo staff, your photo editing team, and your guide to what matters in this world. Support ViewFind and see the world happen.